There's an idea that sounds almost offensive at first, but changes everything when you understand it. The richest, freest, and most fulfilled people don't talk much about what they're doing. Weird, right? While the world encourages you to post plans, announce goals, and explain every step, there's a silent rule operating in the opposite direction. And those who ignore this rule pay a high price: drained energy, broken focus, and dreams that die before they're born. Perhaps you've already experienced this firsthand. Every time you share a plan, someone doubts it, offers opinions, questions it, sometimes with good intentions, sometimes not. And little by little, that initial excitement turns into a burden. The truth is uncomfortable. Talking too much about your goals creates emotional relief, but weakens your resolve. It's like spending money before you receive it. And almost no one tells you this, because those who know protect you. Napoleon Hill studied hundreds of people who built real wealth, not just financial, but mental and spiritual. And the pattern repeats itself. They move in silence, build away from the noise, and let the results speak for themselves later. It's not shyness. It's not fear. It's strategy. A way to conserve energy, align the subconscious mind, and maintain the right vibration until the exact moment. If you feel you were born for something greater, but are tired of explaining your dreams to those who don't understand, this video didn't arrive by chance. Here you will understand why silence is not absence. It's concentrated power, and how to use it to change the way you think, decide, and act, starting today. Silence as an unfair advantage. Napoleon, he realized something rather unsettling early on. The more he talked about the plan, the less he actually did it. Sounds strange, right? But every time he spoke of the project, a whole package of free opinions came along, and almost none of them were helpful. And then the energy would drain, away in conversation, explanation, justification, as if his mind were running out of fuel before even starting the engine. The funny thing is, silence wasn't shyness, it was strategy. So he started using a simple trick, keeping his intentions to himself like keeping money in his pocket, without showing his wallet. Instead of announcing, "I'm going to change my life," he simply changed his daily habit. And that was it. A practical example. If you want to start a business, stop posting new things are coming and start studying for 30 minutes a night, like The Richest Man in Babylon and Think and Grow Rich, while organizing a basic spreadsheet of costs and goals. Nobody applauded, but the structure was being created. And the craziest thing is that the silence also filtered people out. Because when he didn't say anything, nobody could instill fear in his dream. No audience, no pressure, no need to prove anything. He felt lighter, more focused, and, without realizing it, began to act like someone who had already decided. And that's the key. When the decision becomes routine, the results start to appear. But there's a detail in the next step that almost nobody sees. Why talking too much weakens the mind and drains energy. He began to notice something curious when observing people who are always tired, even without doing that much. They talk too much about what they are going to do, explain plans, defend ideas, justify dreams. Sounds familiar, right? Each conversation becomes a small leak of mental energy. The subconscious mind doesn't understand promises. It responds to decisions and actions. When everything becomes talk, the vibration spreads, and internal focus is lost. There's a neurological and emotional reason for this. Whenever someone verbalizes a plan, the brain releases a temporary feeling of reward, almost as if the goal has already been achieved. That's the trap. Silent execution requires discipline, while talking provides immediate relief. A simple example. When someone announces they're going to start investing, they feel productive just by talking about it, but those who truly build prosperity are studying assets, starting with solid stocks, basic ETFs, or even books like The Intelligent Investor without telling anyone. And that's where strategic silence changes the game. When you keep the plan to yourself, mental energy focuses, the decision solidifies, and alignment happens. Less talk, more clarity. Less explanation, more execution. You stop wasting energy trying to convince others and start using that energy to convince yourself. Ultimately, this silence isn't isolation. It's preparation. And what begins to stir within you prepares the ground for something even deeper in the next step. Silence as a gateway to the subconscious mind. Napoleon. He began to notice something that almost no one else realizes. The subconscious mind doesn't respond to noise. It responds to the internal state. When everything is silent on the outside, something organizes itself on the inside. It is in this space that internal focus strengthens, and the vibration changes in an almost imperceptible, yet powerful way. The funny thing is, it's not mysticism. It's alignment between decision and identity. Whenever you distance yourself from external noise, your subconscious mind enters creative mode. Ideas appear out of nowhere. Solutions emerge in the shower. Insights come before bed. This happens because mental energy isn't being spent explaining plans or defending against opinions. A practical example. Instead of discussing financial goals, you start visualizing the end result every day for 5 minutes in silence, as Napoleon Hill taught, feeling prosperity as something inevitable. At this point, silent execution ceases to be effort and becomes flow. You no longer need to motivate yourself. You act because you are aligned. Strategic silence acts as fertile ground where the decision takes deep root. And the more this state is repeated, the more natural it becomes to move forward without announcing anything. But here an invisible challenge arises that almost always appears soon after, and that is exactly what the next topic will reveal. Silence as a shield against emotional sabotage. At some point, Napoleon realized that not all interference comes from the outside as a direct attack. Often it arrives disguised as advice, concern, or even affection. Sounds harmless, right? But these opinions carry fear, limitations, and unresolved experiences of the speaker. When he learns the value of strategic silence, he understands that protecting his plans is also protecting his mental energy from subtle contaminations. The subconscious mind is highly suggestible, especially when something is still in its early stages. A poorly worded comment can generate doubt, delay, or silent abandonment. Therefore, he has begun to rigorously filter what he shares and with whom he shares it. A simple and applicable example. Instead of announcing a career change or starting a business, he only changes small routines, waking up earlier, studying a new skill, testing ideas on paper. Zero announcement, maximum silent execution. Over time, something interesting happens. You become more emotionally stable, less reactive, more centered. Internal focus grows because there's no need for constant defense. Silence ceases to be just a strategy and becomes maturity. You understand that not everyone needs to understand your decision, and that's liberating. But this emotional shield creates a powerful side effect. You start accelerating results without realizing it, and that's exactly what the next topic will explore. Why silent execution accelerates results. At some point along the way, you realize something counterintuitive. The less you talk, the faster things move. Weird, but true. Silent execution eliminates invisible distractions, unnecessary explanations, unproductive debates, external expectations. All that previously scattered mental energy is then directed toward concrete action. Internal focus narrows, decisiveness strengthens, and prosperity begins to gain momentum. There is a practical effect to this. When you don't announce what you're going to do, You don't feel pressure to appear consistent. Only toto be consistent. For example, someone who decides to quietly organize their financial life starts with the basics: cutting obvious expenses, building a simple reserve, studying safe investments like broad ETFs or solid stocks of established companies. No motivational posts, no public promises, just silent execution, day after day. Over time, the vibration changes. You feel more confident without knowing exactly why. This happens because the subconscious mind begins to register small, continuous victories, not empty words. Each action reinforces the identity of someone who makes things happen. And when that identity is consolidated, opportunities seem to arise faster, not by luck, but by alignment. But this accelerated pace brings an even deeper internal consequence, and that's where the next topic comes into play: the end of the search for external approval. At some point, almost without realizing it, you stop waiting for applause. And that changes everything. When silent execution becomes a habit, the need for validation begins to disappear. No more chasing approval. You understand that most people don't reject your dreams. They reject their own inability to dream. And when that realization hits, the mental energy that was previously spent trying to be understood is entirely redirected to internal focus. The subconscious mind responds much better when there is no conflict between what is done and what is explained. Over-explaining creates noise, anxiety, and emotional dependence. A simple example: before, you needed to say you were on the right track to feel secure. Now you measure progress by concrete actions: books read, habits created, decisions maintained. If someone asks, you smile and move on. No long speeches, just silent alignment. This detachment from external approval strengthens something rare these days: emotional autonomy. You don't react to criticism. You don't get too excited by praise. This stabilizes your vibration and creates a sense of inner peace that few experience. When no one is watching, you keep going. And when that happens, a powerful clarity emerges about the next step in the journey. Because now it's no longer about proving anything. It's about aligning everything. And that's exactly what the next topic will reveal: internal alignment before external expansion. After the need for approval diminishes, something more subtle begins to happen within you, and everything starts to make more sense. Not because life has become easier, but because you have become more aligned. Strategic silence creates space for decision-making, inner focus, and mental energy to move in the same direction. When this happens, external expansion ceases to be an obsession and becomes a natural consequence. You understand that trying to grow without alignment is like accelerating a car with the handbrake on. On the outside it looks like effort, but on the inside it's exhaustion. So instead of chasing visible results, you start adjusting the invisible. A practical example: before increasing income, you organize your routine, sleep, environment, and study habits. Before seeking greater prosperity, you strengthen daily discipline and clarity of goals. Small moves, big impact. This alignment subtly yet consistently shifts the vibration. The right people appear, ideas become clearer, decisions become easier. It's not luck, it's internal coherence. The subconscious mind begins to work in your favor, not against you. And when this is established, something curious happens. Results begin to appear without excessive effort. But when they do appear, there's a silent rule about how to deal with it. And that's exactly where the next topic comes in. Results as the only language that matters. At a certain point in the journey, you understand something liberating. Results speak a language that no one questions. Before, there was the temptation to explain processes, justify choices, defend decisions. Now, not anymore. Strategic silence has taught us that when silent execution is consistent, the result arrives before the need for explanation. And when you arrive, any argument becomes irrelevant. There's a practical shift. Here, you start measuring progress not by how you feel, but by what you've built. Less emotion, more evidence. For example, instead of saying you're focused, you demonstrate consistency. Months of study, organized income, projects coming to fruition. No long speeches, no announcements. Prosperity begins to appear as a side effect of aligning decision with action. The most curious thing is that, when results appear, people start listening, even without you saying anything. That's power. Internal. Focus is maintained, the vibration stabilizes, and the subconscious mind reinforces the identity of someone who delivers, not promises. But dealing with this new level of growth requires maturity, because silence now ceases to be a tactic and begins to become something bigger. And that's exactly what the next topic will delve into: silence as a lifestyle of prosperity. There comes a point when silence ceases to be a conscious technique and becomes part of your identity. You no longer need to remind yourself to speak less, because it has become natural. The mind gets used to the internal focus, mental energy is preserved, and the vibration remains stable even in chaotic environments. It just feels right. Prosperity at this stage is not something you seek, it's something you sustain. This lifestyle even changes how you react to the world. Problems don't breed despair. Criticism doesn't provoke defensiveness. Comparisons don't awaken envy. You understand that every word spared is accumulated strength. A practical example: while many comment on crises, opportunities, or trends, you observe, analyze, and act in silence. You adjust investments, develop skills, strengthen strategic relationships, all without announcing any moves. The most powerful thing is that this continuous silence creates a different kind of presence. People feel confident, even without explanations. The subconscious mind operates in a state of almost permanent alignment, and silent execution becomes precise. There is no rush, no anxiety, just direction. And when that point is reached, something inside you knows that the game has changed forever, because now there is enough awareness to understand the true beginning of it all. Now let me ask you something directly. How many dreams have you lost not because of a lack of ability, but because you talked too much to the wrong people? How many times has your mental energy been drained trying to explain plans that were still fragile? The big turning point happens when you understand that prosperity isn't born from noise. It's born from decisions sustained in silence. Starting today, you can do things differently. Choose a clear goal. Keep it in mind. Work on it every day, even when no one is watching. Replace long conversations with small, consistent actions. Replace external validation with internal alignment. Ask yourself, what do I need to stop announcing and start executing? Where am I wasting energy trying to prove something when I could be building something in silence? True power lies in application, silencing plans, protecting the subconscious mind, directing the vibration toward silent execution. Because when you change the way you act, life responds. Not with immediate applause, but with real results. And these results change everything: your confidence, your posture, your vision of the future. If you found this content helpful, write it in the comments below. I move in silence. This isn't just a phrase, it's a commitment to your new identity. And if you want to continue learning how to develop inner focus, prosperity, and mental clarity in depth, subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications. Here you won't find superficial content. You'll find direction. Because in the end, the truth is simple: those who talk less build more.